Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chronic Illness Chronicles with Mish. I am Mish, and today we are talking with Miss Gayle Gruenberg, and she is a certified professional organizer, and she's going to tell you all about her special certifications and everything. So, Gayle, tell us a little bit about that.
Hi, Mies. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Gayle
Yeah.
Gruenberg. My company is called Let's Get Organized. Excuse me. And I am a certified professional organizer in chronic disorganization, a certified virtual organizing professional, and an organizer coach.
Yeah. Okay. So, what brought you to doing this kind of work? Because to me, like organizing is terrifying. So you must love it for some reason. So what
I
brought you
do.
to doing that?
Well,
Yeah.
I do. I do get this natural high from helping people and making things in order. So that's one of the rewards that I get from what I do.
Yeah.
And I was a CPA, a certified public accountant, and
Okay.
I was just miserable. The three walls of a cube just weren't cutting it, and I missed my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to do something different.
Yeah.
A colleague suggested organizing, and there I was.
Okay. Yeah. And three walls of a cube. It doesn't look like you're in one of those right now.
I am not. What a benefit to be in this beautiful space.
Totally. Yeah. And where are you at in the world? It looks beautiful today.
I am in New Jersey in a town called Florham Park.
Okay, got it. All right. So professional organizing, what do you do for people? Obviously, I mean the obvious answer is like organize their shit, but like how else do you help people? Like what are some of the, I don't know, side benefits or unknown benefits people have talked about?
Oh, wow, the unknown benefits.
Yeah.
Well, I love this because I know I can say it to you. I'd like to think that they improve their sex lives.
Ooh, okay.
Yes,
Why?
because when they get their shit together, they make room in their lives
Yeah.
for something else. And my mantra is make space for blessing.
Yeah,
So in some cases, they're making space for a new relationship.
totally.
Other people may be making space for, say, a baby, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe they have to have an older parent move in, or their kids are coming back from college or something like that. So
Yeah.
whatever it is that they're physically making space for is it's just new and good stuff. Um, and it's not just stuff. I happened to be organizing clothing today in
Okay.
the room that someone would like to use as an office, but she has racks and piles of clothes everywhere. So we had
Oh,
to get through
sure.
that. But it's clothes maintenance, so to speak. It's food system, like how do you manage your food? How do you prepare your menu for the week? And how do you maintain your pantry and organize your cabinets and
Yeah.
time management or a little financial management, like whatever it is that someone needs, an organizer can kind of fit in and be a chameleon.
Oh, that's fascinating. I wouldn't have thought about it in all of those different kind of assets.
We do everything.
It sounds
Yeah.
like it. That's pretty cool. So are there certain types of people that you work with? Like, do you have a special niche or specialize? Are there certain rooms that you prefer working on?
Wow, I love that question. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my niche is people who are chronically disorganized or living with chronic disorganization,
Yeah.
meaning they might have a brain-based challenge that affects their executive function, of which one is organizing.
Yeah.
And often it's often a woman with ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And the
I
woman I was, yeah, I, I love women with ADHD
Yeah.
because we can let our hair down and be real.
Yeah.
Um, I was with a lady today who has a traumatic brain injury from a car accident, and
Sure.
it presents in a similar way. So the challenges
Yep.
are very much like ADHD.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Got it. Um, I had a question. I lost it. It'll come back. I had one based off of that. But you did answer my next one, which was what on earth is chronic disorganization? So that relates to, the ADHD and brain-based organizing. So, does every professional organizer like know the difference between how different brains work and that kind of thing? Or is that just something that interested you in particular?
It definitely interested me. I do love the way the brain works. I
Yeah.
long time ago I had a great interest in biology, so this part is totally up my alley.
Dang.
Um, and not every organizer may be that familiar with what goes on in the brain.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm I I will make a distinction between an ICD organizer as someone who specializes in chronic disorganization and
Okay.
someone who does not specialize. Um, because in the ICD, Institute for Challenging Disorganization, we get training up the wazoo, and they're my credentialing body. Um,
Okay.
the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals, which is still known as NAPO, in recent years, they started to train more about brain-based organizing, but it's maybe within the last 3 or so, whereas the ICD has been at this for at least 25, I'm
Mm.
sure,
Hmm. Okay.
maybe more.
Who knew there was licensing bodies for organizing?
And we really have to walk a fine line because of the brain science involved.
Yeah.
We could screw up at a moment's notice. And I've seen people have a complete meltdown.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. So, what tips would you say you have for managing organization when you have a chronic illness? So, you're talking about chronic disorganization. I'm going to throw another one at you, right? Chronic illness, and you kind of did that a little today with your client. And your body's just telling you to basically, no, sit the fuck down.
Right. Yes. Okay. So I've actually been thinking about that quite a bit lately because I have a friend who has multiple sclerosis,
Yeah.
and also she doesn't have diabetes, but sometimes I will come across a client who does have diabetes, and having a medication management system is extremely useful. Um,
Okay.
Putting that out there, time management, of course, and I think being very much in touch with your body. Like I said to the client today, are you having decision overload? She's like, if I have to make one more decision, I am going to spontaneously combust. Now, I am,
Totally. That's a thing with chronic illness and ADHD.
yeah, and I might be paraphrasing, but that's what she said. She's like, I am done. I'm fried.
Yeah,
I'm going downstairs. um,
it's exhausting.
so yeah, and I think there's also, like know your limits, of course, and in terms of, especially with women who have ADHD and men too, of course, the less you have, the easier it is to maintain.
Yep.
and
That sounds like a given.
and and it's hard because like
Yeah.
this lady I was with, she's got not just this room full of clothing, but pretty much a house full of clothing.
Yeah.
Um, and she doesn't necessarily remember what she has. So outside intervention is useful because you have a different pair of eyes and a different way of doing things.
Totally.
And you just want to know like what are you capable of? Play to your strengths. What do you do really, really well?
Mhm.
And try to minimize the things you don't do well and delegate if you can.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it sounds like obviously manage your medication because, we don't need things flaring up. Manage your time. And which in that time, coming from the therapist part, what's the priority? And where we tend to go wrong is we are not. But our body, like you mentioned, is making it. So, so do you help people kind of work through that piece, or do you have like coaches that you refer to or therapists that you refer to for that piece?
For the prioritization
Yeah.
and
Prioritization of the self.
yes. I can do some coaching.
Okay.
Um, I definitely come from a place of organizing as self-care and
Ah,
self-care in order to organize.
totally.
Um, I can plug my book, but
Do
I,
it.
it's called Get the Big O, Organize.
Ah, love it.
Thank you.
There's two kinds
And
of big O's.
yes, no coincidences.
Okay,
And
cool.
in it, I present what I call the LGO focus formula
Okay.
because I was working with a woman, fantastic woman who I adored, who has ADHD as the basis of her challenges.
Yeah, yeah.
And in order for her to like basically calm down and focus on what we were going to do on a given day,
Hmm.
I highly recommended that she had certain things in place. And it's basically common sense. And I'm sure every mental health professional or physical professional says the same thing.
Hmm.
But literally, it's good sleep, good food, hydration, going outside, getting fresh air, breathing, because people will get, so anxious that they forget to breathe, and then there's no oxygen to the
Yeah,
brain,
we're holding our breath and we don't realize we're doing it.
and various other things. Like for her, she needed to be around great people. Maybe she had music going.
Hmm.
Uh, and it just stimulated her prefrontal cortex so that she could
Yeah.
calm down and focus.
Yeah. I love that you have some of that in your book and you understand it because some people don't need like the whole thing or another person to work with because adding more people to the mix can be overwhelming in and of itself. And then you're taking more time to do those things when you may need time to just sit down and like go through the junk, right? So
Yes, that's true.
I love that you understand that and you apparently have written about it as well.
I
Perfect.
try. I try. I love my clients. I
Yeah,
want the best for them.
yeah. So I was going through your website too, and you had something about an 80/20 rule. So I've heard of the 80/20 rule when it comes to like food and investing and other things, but how does that relate to organizing?
Great question. We use 20% of our stuff 80% of the time. So, from a stuff standpoint, we could literally get rid of 80% of what we have because we're not using it anyway.
True. I guess I gotta go get rid of some stuff. Okay,
I do
so
too. Actually.
yeah, so I'm going to ask you later, what's a tip for people to start utilizing? This is an easy one. Like, look at all of the stuff that you use, and then look at the stuff that you try to find the stuff you don't use and then throw it out.
That's true. It could be buried.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, one of the things I like to say frequently is
Uh-huh.
start by putting like with like.
Okay. Like with like.
It,
Okay.
it's an easy way to see what you have.
Hmm. I'm really good at purging my closet, but all of the other stuff, not so much.
Yeah.
It just comes with me from house to house.
And we don't really realize what we have until we start to look at it
It's
and
so
focus
true.
on it. Yeah.
So true. Okay. My computer froze for a minute there. All right, there we go. We got it. Okay. So, as someone that struggles with ADHD and two chronic illnesses, how do you recommend keeping up with things not being cluttered all the time? So just like not even cleaning and organizing. Let's say the shit's organized. But
Yeah.
you saw my desk right now, like, oh my God. So how do you recommend keeping up with the clutter once it's done?
Okay, that's a really good point because in my opinion, it's never done.
Oh, tell me more about that thought.
Because we just keep living and
Yeah.
and we have to maintain the systems that we put in place. Um,
Okay.
and a little bit every day is digestible. Like even 5 minutes, say at the end of a workday, and say you're at a desk. At the end
Yeah.
of a workday, if it's possible to put things where they belong, if they have a home,
Mm-hmm.
then the next day you're coming into this lovely space and you have a nice clear mind and you can sit down and you can start to work. So
Yeah.
it's literally just it's constant equalizing, so to speak.
Okay. So kind
Like,
of making it a part of your daily routine. So like you come to work if you have an office or whatever, you come to work, you sit down, drink your coffee, look at your emails, and then get started for the day. End of the
yes,
day, put the coffee mug in the sink and wash it. And
probably.
then organize and put away papers and files.
Yes. And
Okay.
if it's difficult to remember to do all of that, a laminated checklist is
Mm.
a great thing. This is like my morning routine. This is my evening routine. Because
Uh-huh.
sometimes externalizing the stuff that's going around in somebody's brain
Yep.
can be very calming.
Yep.
And keep a to-do list, but don't make it too long. Like
Mm-hmm.
3 to 5 items is plenty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I like that. That's something I tell a lot of my clients, like not just the people that have ADHD, but all of them. Like if they're like, I just can't remember things, or I have lists and I have lists for lists of lists. Like, all right, get it out of your brain because you're not going to remember it because that goes into, and I'm sure you know this, um, the different modes of memory. So we've got like working memory, we've got short-term memory, the long-term, and then, the subconscious where all of the things live. Right?
For sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, totally. I love lists. I love them. I even have people do like a dump list, like just get it all out and then okay, pick three from there. Because
Love
some
it.
people are like, but what about all these things? All right, just get out of your head. So that way you don't got to try to remember it.
Absolutely.
Or you
A
can be
brain
like
dump.
me and have post-it notes everywhere.
If it works, I think yes. One of my phrases is whatever works.
Whatever
You know,
works.
yep, there's
So it's
no one
also
size.
like figuring out what works for you.
Yes, because every brain is different.
Yeah. Fascinating. Okay. So how do you keep up with it? You do it every day. Got it. I'll have to add
Yeah.
that to my routine. So when purging, how do you decide what to keep? And you might have alluded to this a little bit, but
Ooh,
yeah, how do
yeah.
you decide?
It's hard. Deciding is difficult, and there's a science to it. Um, okay, so because every brain is unique, some people may process their information in a unique way. Like somebody may say, all right, I have to think about it. Okay,
Mhm.
so you think about it. Someone may say, I have to digest it. So they might be a different kind of a processor. And many
Mm.
people have to see what they will feel, what they feel about it. So they might make decisions on an emotional basis.
Okay.
Um, from a physical standpoint, I think that seeing how much of what you have of something, putting all like with like, seeing the quantity, and then determining like what are your favorites. For
Mm.
instance,
Mhm.
there's one of my mentor type people. Her name is Judith Kohlberg, and she's pretty much the creator of the phrase chronic disorganization. So she's the
Okay.
guru, and she has a great game that's called Friends, Acquaintances, and Strangers.
Okay.
So you separate out by like, these are my friends. I'm keeping this no matter what happens. These are strangers. I really don't know them and need them. I don't recognize them. Goodbye. But
Yeah.
the ones in between have to go one way or the other.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's very relatable because obviously we have friends, acquaintances, and strangers. So it's not like a new concept that you have to learn. So I like that a lot. That's interesting. Okay. So that is how we decide what to purge and what to keep. Okay. What about, kind of talked a little bit about emotions and different things. So how about shame? What role does shame play in all of this?
Gosh, it is huge, um, especially among people who live with chronic disorganization, which I will say is not hoarding, and hoarding is not chronic disorganization, but it can be comorbid.
Okay.
And yet, do work with people who live with hoarding disorder, and there is shame on every level of chronic disorganization,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially among women who feel I should be able to do this myself.
That darn should.
Oh, yes. And they think that there's something like physically wrong with them, or
Yeah.
like just fundamentally wrong, but
Mhm.
there isn't, everyone has their strength and their talent.
Totally.
So I do try to mitigate the shame and normalize the situation.
Okay. Good.
Everyone has crap, everyone.
Yeah, we do. And we
Yeah,
crap.
right.
Yeah, and I had a thought come up while you're talking about that too. Like, so again, this goes back to ADHD. Um, there's a lot of like self-perpetuating shame and comparison mode, and then that brings in more anxiety and depression. So like there's that whole, whirlwind happening, but also like if you didn't have someone modeling that to you as a child and showing you how to, prioritize cleaning up or organizing or how to get rid of stuff, like that plays a role too. Like I could say that, my mother didn't show me how to do that. So I do it. I saw her do it. I'm like, shit, there's piles everywhere. Right?
Right. Yes, you think this is normal. Like if you don't know any different, how can you do things differently?
Totally. Yeah, I go into other people's homes and I'm like, this is immaculate. Where's all your stuff? And then you walk into my house,
Yeah.
there's all my stuff.
Well, there's also, as you're saying, some people feel that out of sight is out of mind.
Yes.
So if you need it out in order to remember that it's there, then that's a technique that would need to be accommodated in creating systems.
It's a technique for sure. But I guess this is a video for ADHD people that also have chronic illness. But so for people that have ADHD, out of sight is out of mind. Like it doesn't exist. So if I literally can't see it, and if it's like something that's important, like I don't know, a file or something like a mantra I'm trying to remember, or bills that need to be paid because they're, certain ones aren't on auto pay, you still gotta pay the water bill because that comes every quarter or whatever, So like certain things, I have to see them,
Yes.
So what about that? What do you do with those instances where people can't put certain things away because they gotta see it? So is there a way
Um,
to organize that?
yes. And it depends on what it is, what the it is.
Yeah.
So say it is paper. Having something like a graduated file sorter on a desk is a great way to keep
Mhm.
things visible.
Mhm.
Color coding, which I love to color code.
Okay.
So you can see at a glance the category that something pertains to.
Yeah.
Um, and drawers for people who are usum, out of sight, out of mind, they're a killer. So if you have shelves or
Mhm.
you can hang things or use the walls and just keep things visible,
Mhm.
um, that's one way. Um, Clear cabinets or clear containers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
making it, right there in your face, so to speak.
So there's a way to keep it in your face, but not a mess. So to
True.
speak. Okay, good. You've got all of the tips and tricks. I love it. So what is something that our audience today can do right now that would help them to see some results in whatever they're experiencing? So obviously
Okay.
you don't know who they are, but if somebody was like, all right, she said I can try these two things, what would they be? Two or
Okay.
three,
Depending
whatever.
on, yeah. So on somebody's situation, the first thing I would say is start. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter with what, just start. And the project will take on a momentum of its own, even if it's just for 5 minutes.
Mhm.
5 minutes is fine. You can do a lot in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Set a timer, play beat the clock. Um, what I've seen very recently, thankfully, because this was a great visual impact, is the lady I was with today had a tremendous cardboard box right in the middle of the room,
Oh.
and it was empty. So if there's a way to just immediately pull out like cardboard boxes and styrofoam and obvious garbage, even just 5 minutes of picking things up that can get tossed
Uh-huh.
can really feel like huge progress.
Oh, okay. So start and just give yourself maybe 5 minutes to pick up garbage. That sounds like that should be a given, but maybe we all need to just do that.
Yeah.
How often are we all just sitting in our garbage? Maybe we need to assess that.
I can't tell you how many homes I've seen that way.
Okay,
Food
so
wrapper.
it's normal. We all do it then.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What would you say is your biggest challenge in working with people? Especially, I would say the people that do have this chronic disorganization, the brain-based issues, and even chronic illnesses. What do you see as the biggest challenge for those kind of
Um,
people?
Pretty much someone who will call and say, okay, I'd like you to come over and help me.
Yeah.
And then they haven't really gotten to the place inside where they're ready to make a change.
Mhm. And how do
Um,
you know that's the case? Like you personally, they obviously don't know, but how do you know
yeah.
you do?
Uh, it's I might pick something up and say, do you need this? Like, yes, okay. Do you need this? Yes. Do you need this? Yes. Okay. Pause. Are we going to keep everything?
Lots of yeses. Okay.
Yeah. And or may I do this over here, or may I put this over there? Like, no, don't touch my stuff. Don't move anything.
Yeah.
Like, and I think to myself, like, okay, I know you want me here, but why?
Yeah.
And that's a big challenge.
Okay. So kind of helping them get into their why and understanding it. Because obviously they called you for a reason.
They did.
And
And
you showed up because for whatever, whatever reason they told you. So okay.
yes.
Okay. So helping them get down into their why. So
Oh,
that's
big
another,
time.
that sounds like it's another thing that people could work on too, is like, why is getting yourself organized even important in the first place? Because you're gonna spend at least, the 5 minutes a day to start.
That's the very beginning of my book. What is
Yeah.
your big why?
Love it. Go get the big O, guys. Okay. What free resources, videos, or blogs do you have out there that people
Ooh,
should go get?
okay. Well, I'm personally, okay, of course, you can always go to my website, which is lgorganized.com. There's a D on the end of organized.
Okay.
Um,
I'll put
and
that link below in the description for everyone.
awesome. I also have, I'm a life strategist with the brand Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life.
Okay.
So people can go to the cyacyl.com website and click on team and
Okay.
find me. I have tons of recordings on there. They're really short little sound bites. And there's a media page on my site, so I left that part out. I would also encourage anyone who wants to learn more about chronic disorganization, which can include chronic illness as well.
Yeah.
Um, Visit the Institute for Challenging Disorganization website, which is challengingdisorganization.org.
Okay.
There's a ton of free resources there.
Okay. Perfect. Do you have like a free ebook or anything?
A free ebook. Well, they can download a free chapter of my book off my website.
That's what it was. I thought I saw something. I'm like, what is it?
Yes.
All right. If you
And
want to check out our book, get the free chapter.
totally.
Okay.
And if you have any difficulty, let me know and I'll send it.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. And I'll try to put all of those links below. I'll probably have to rewatch it to write them down. Um, okay. How do people work with you? Do you have to live in like New Jersey, New York, surrounding states? Do you do online? How does that work?
Yes, I do go on site. I go myself. I also have a team if needed.
Okay.
And as a certified virtual organizing professional, I can work with anyone, anywhere.
Oh,
Um, and I try to keep it in English, but occasionally we can think of a few other words in another language. So anyone,
okay. And there's so many apps out there and AI is a thing, so I'm sure you could, you know, speak it in English and they can spit out French on the other side.
that's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's true.
You're welcome.
You're absolutely right.
Okay. Well, this has been awesome. So I guess last question is, how do people get in touch with you? Should just through your website? Should they email you, call you?
The best way is through the website, which is lgorganized.com,
Okay.
or they can call the business line 201-613-2733, and they'll get me.
Okay, perfect. So you'll get her. Perfect. So, well, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. And I, initially didn't think that, a professional organizer would be on my list to interview for helping people with chronic illness. But as we did our consultation months ago, I was like, ooh, this could be interesting. So I really thank you for being a part of this. So yeah,
Thank you.
you're
This was a pleasure
welcome.
and fun.
Yeah, totally. Any last, thoughts before we go?
Mm. What I would love to say to the audience
Yeah.
is pretty much that. Like, just, love yourself. You're still a person. You might
Yeah.
have chronic disorganization, you might have a chronic illness, but you're still amazing. So, you know, tell us your talents. We want to know. We want to bring out the good that's inside everyone, no matter what they're living with.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So true. So true. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gail. You have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Be well.
Thanks, you too. Bye bye.
Bye.